Hello, hello. Yes, I would like to welcome you to our next future talk. This time we have the future talk with Radenko Milak, and we are live in the gallery. And I will show you the space. So here you get a little impression from our exhibition on Equal Terms 2. And we have works by Radenko Milak here on this wall. We just wait a little bit for Radenko to join us. So, but in between, Katja will make a little introduction.
Hello, we're very happy to have the conversation with Radenko Milak today, an artist whom we already showed 4 times in the gallery, and he's among the artists from this current group show on Equal Terms 2. Radenko Milak was born in 1980 in Travnik, former Yugoslavia, and he lives in Banja Luka. He studied at the academies in Belgrade and Banja Luka, and had a big solo show, for example, in 2014 already in Darmstadt with a series called 365. This was a series of 365 watercolors created during 1 year in 2013, each day 1 watercolor. And he was in the pavilion of Bosnia and Herzegovina, of his current home country, at the Venice Biennial in 2017 with a huge project and large form watercolors called University of Disaster. And they were bought after the Venice Biennial of that year from the Fortbahn Museum in Essen, which was a very wonderful thing. And last year he was in the group show at the Deichtorhallen in Hamburg, Hyper, a journey into art and music, and he contributed a wonderful series of 31 watercolors with the topic of music and how images have been important in the musical world. The show is going to happen, hopefully, maybe postponed, but we will see how it works in March. And what else? The Hamburg show is going to travel to Rotterdam, hopefully, as well. So there's a lot going on, and still going on with works by Radenko Milak. He deals with the role of images in the formation of our cultural and historical consciousness and memories, and how images influence our personal, individual memory and the collective memory. And he paints mainly watercolor, also on canvas sometimes, mostly watercolor. And he also does animation films, and mainly black and white. And it's really a translation of photographic images or film stills from the history of cinema into painting. So really transferring images from one medium into another, from maybe younger media to more traditional artistic technique. And what you see behind is a large wall of individually framed watercolors on the topic of conquering the space, the universe by man. So starting with looking into the space with the camera oscura, telescopes, and also aircrafts. So we travel through the periods like the rocket Mercury from the beginning of the 60s until in the lower half, Selfie on Mars, the most recent NASA developments.
Katja, just a moment. So Radenko is with us. Radenko, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you. Do you hear me?
Oh, hi. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Yeah, the circumstances relatively fine. Or just we said the other day, amazing, fantastic, everything is wonderful. How is the situation in your country? You are in Banja Luka at the moment?
Yes, I'm in my studio.
You are in your studio. Great.
The situation is similar, is in another country, but I'm mostly at home or in the studio with my family. That's it. But the situation is same as in another country.
Yeah.
Are you doing homeschooling with your daughter?
Sorry?
Are you doing homeschooling with your daughter? Do you have
Yes, sometimes. But my wife is mostly connected to this kind of things. But also we are drawing and painting, and it's good time to spend time together with family. Yeah.
So maybe while you're in your studio, things haven't changed so much, so you can work normally, or are there any problems and restrictions?
Yes, we can work normally until 8 p.m. And after that, everything is closed and you can go out, and we have restriction until the 5 in the morning.
You are restricted. You can't go out at all at night.
Yes, between the 8 p.m. and the 5 in the morning. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I just see that my daughter is looking to the video. She's in New York. She's in.
Yeah, hello, Shane.
She's there for since 2 weeks. She can't go out, and yeah, the restrictions are harder and harder.
Yeah.
Radenko, what is changing for you? You, on the other hand, you are in your studio anyway all the time. So now you're in your studio again. So, but I think the perspective must be very, very strange for you, huh? To see that everything around is it's another world than before.
Yes, I think that nobody can think that our future will be like this. And I could say that the first few days when we start with this kind of quarantine, it was really it's not possible for me to work. I just read the news, different kind of things, what's happening in my region, in the world. But I could say that last maybe 7 days, I really start to work on this crisis, and just to choose every day a few images and to paint small watercolors. And I could say that I don't have such big energy now to continue to work with the big size, because I'm still occupied by about all of these things what's happened. But I just continue to work with small works, small watercolors every day, just to have the connection with this Corona time. And also I'm doing a little bit animation in my another studio, and with my brother. And it's I think for me it's good time to work now.
You did this before, right? Like if you approach this Corona topic for work, you did this before. For example, in the night when the Notre Dame Cathedral was burning, you worked on the images that were coming over the internet. Like, is it your also your remedy or your medicine to deal with the situation, to paint it and to work with it directly?
Yes, because in general I start with this kind of the research for my projects during my projects 365. But general, I'm constantly on internet and try to do my research for my different kind of projects. But this is, for example, it's not something how to say, not typical for me. I just use this time and to memorize this question of the quarantine, and yeah, it's kind of my practice, I could say.
Yeah, on the other side, when we see your works that were shown at the Venice Biennale, so University of Disaster, so there you had a lot of these topics already that are really very much today.
Yeah.
Like this here is the air pollution, and this is the Kuwait Air, the war
Yeah,
on television. Here you have Hiroshima.
yeah,
Here you have the catastrophe on the sea, refugees in the water. So
yeah. It's a
already
for
in your work. It's kind of important, no?
yeah.
But when you did these works, this cycle for Venice under the title University of Disaster, university has also to do with learning and teaching, and it was the question about what can we learn from catastrophes, right? From man-made catastrophes, and it's far too early to have an idea
Yeah.
about our current situation, I guess.
Yeah, because I was really occupied by this topic, as you told us as before, and special for this project for Venice Biennial. And also during the project 365, I touched this topic to my practice. But also I continue now, like to paint big size of my works for next projects in Martha Herford Museum in Germany, and I have behind of me few new big paintings in my studio. And for example, I can show you the last works that I had that I have in my studio. It's big watercolors mounted on the wooden panel based on the different kind of catastrophe around the world. This one is based on the Amazon. It was happened the last year in the Amazon, the fire, and I just decide to make some like watercolor collage based on this topic. And for example, I use the first layer. It's a map of one of the first visitors who came in the South America to research the Amazon, and they just make like first map of the Amazon it was like in the 17th century. And after that, I just put another color, different kind of landscape of the last Amazon fire, with some like way to combine collage and the watercolors. But all of this in this wooden panel, it's made by watercolors. All of this small watercolors.
That's fantastic.
It's another.
Yeah.
It's another piece. It's based on the pollution. I did this works. It's totally abstract, but it's based on the photography of the nano microscope, electron microscope. How electron microscope see the polluted water with the microplastic in the water. And I just try to play with all of this source from this microscope and to create one big watercolors also. And another works. It's one part of the New Delhi. I just did big landscape of the New Delhi. It's connected to the question of the meaning of the overpopulation in the big cities, like today, what we had around the world. It's also big watercolor. It's typical for me, the black and white watercolors. And you can see just simple details. And when we go a little bit zoom out, we can see the landscape of the one part of the New Delhi. And I also start one small watercolors. It's based on the Julian Assange. Maybe we forgot now in this crisis this topic, but it was just small my watercolors based on on the Julian Assange things. And also I can show you last few days I did simple small watercolors, everyday drawings based on this corona virus. I just choose a different kind of the subjects, a different kind of the topics around the world connected to this corona crisis.
Wow, you have been working a lot. You're so prolific.
Yes, yes,
Does
and also I
really feel how
have
it
here,
helps you?
and here also I have the one more box. It's a big watercolors, but it's not laminated yet. But it's also a connection to these projects of Anthropocene in the Martha Herford Museum, but I still need to wait connection with other country to bring my materials to finish this piece, because now it's not possible really to work with if you don't have a lot of material in your studio, you can't buy anything because everything is closed. And I'm just back to the small size of the paper, and I have enough papers and black pigments, and I think I could work in my studio, but I need to be careful because I don't know how long this crisis will be. Yeah. And also I have here the few small watercolors based on this topic for the Martha Herford on the topic of Anthropocene. It's a different kind of the small watercolors based on this topic, what is around us. Yeah.
Speaking of the show at Martha Herford with this general theme, painting versus photography, you work with both. Like you take photography from the world press and work on it, translate it into painting. It's maybe someone who's watching this now might still take it for photography. If you get closer, we can see it's really brushwork. It's painted. It's this organic handmade technique, which is so totally different from photography. And you get very close to the looks of black and white photography. Really, very, very often with visitors, I experience the situation that from 3 meters of a distance, they still take it for photography. And even if I say, no, it's really a watercolor, we have to get close. So, but there are differences. Like you catch most of the details and you catch the overall atmosphere, but you still have to choose and leave away some of the details. So it's always your personal choice, not the choice of the image itself, but also how you paint it, right? You could paint it differently.
Yeah. Yes, but when I started to learn the painting, I was really obsessed about Dutch painting like Vermeer. And I was really occupied by his technique and all of these things, what he brings to us in his paintings. But when I start to develop these projects with the 365, I just decide to paint same sheet of the paper every day, one watercolors based on the different kind of historical events, and I just continue every day. And I just recognize how much is possible to go deeply to this kind of topics, just to use the most simple things, just a black pigment and white sheet of the paper and try to tell some story. And also it was another situation. It was when I started to really paint, I really did not have enough money. I did not have the big studio. It was only possible for me just to continue to paint, to have the production, but to keep just this simple material. And also I start to do animation, and I just recognize how it's possible to continue with motion image, with stop motion technique. And I just continue also to develop this technique in the animation. But I think for the painter is important. I just don't follow any trends. Just if I follow some things like trends, it means like that I'm connected to the recent event around the world. But I really think that painter, it's like to be painter, it's things of to follow the marathon because 10 years in the career of the one painter, it means a lot, but also I want to explore and to make extension also of my different technique, but also I need the time because today we are living in really the fast world, and for me it's very difficult to be the painter, to keep the manual technique and to follow all of these things. What I really need now, it's really the question of the time to develop these big watercolors behind of me. It's really things that I really need practice. And after all of these 100 watercolors, I could develop this huge size watercolors, because without this practice, I think it's not possible.
What is interesting is that with a normal or traditional photograph, maybe from the world press from the middle of the 20th century, it's just one click, basically. So it's done in a fraction of a second. Of course,
Yeah.
the development, but the taking of the picture itself is very quick. And here we're standing in front of one of your large formats, which is based on a highly technical super power microscope image, which is not done in an instant, but after a long time of development of this technical means of these apparatuses. It's not just an optical instrument, but also computer technique, and everything comes together to produce this image, which we could never see with our eyes, only with the means of this technique. And
Yeah.
so it's like even longer to get this image as a photographic image than it takes you to do it as a large format watercolor. So it's like you are quicker than this image in a way.
But no, I'm really today interested of the meaning. What is the meaning of image today? Because if we see our world today, because it's really we are occupied by image. And you have the very good book of the Mitchell, American theoretician writer, and he had the book with the title "What Pictures Want." I think it's really good a statement today because, for example, today in the question of this Corona crisis, I just developed to make research a different kind of images around the world. And for example, it's really, for me, you can't see everything. You just need to be the fast and to quick and to have your eye to choose which kind of images you can take and to explain this crisis. And I in general was interested in this meaning. What is the meaning of image? It was last. I think also it was for me very important one exhibition. It was in Haus der Kunst that I was participated there, and I was invited of the one curator, Leon Krempel, to be part of this exhibition. And title of image, it was like image counter image, or the build gegen build. And I think this kind of seminar that was a part of this exhibition, for me, it was really important to understand really the high-level theoretician who try to explain the meaning of image today and what is the status of image today. And after that, I really had an infection about this topic, and I just start to develop the different kind of projects which they have the connection to the image.
Yeah, and even today in this Corona crisis, images are super important. How they influence our mental state. I mean, they can trigger panic. They can bring us some relief or transport information or not, or the opposite. So we are very much depending on images. like when we, in the beginning of the crisis, we saw a lot of people wearing these respiratory masks when they were not very spread in society. So this was misleading. So again and again, even though we know it, we know what can happen with images, we still are very easily irritated or lured to a wrong fact with images every day anew. How do you see, how do you see this?
But I remember last week when Priska asked me to talk about this, I was really not ready. I was a little bit sick, and for me, it was really difficult to say anything about this crisis. And I just decided maybe 7 days ago that I really can tell something just through the images. I'm not a philosopher, I'm not a theoretician, and for me, it's very difficult to find the best words to explain this situation today. But also what I can do, I can to tell something through my obsession when I'm where I am the best. It's just a painting or watercolors, and I think that this events like this never happen in the world, and I think for the artist as me is very important to find a way to tell us something about this. And I think that this kind of the small works that artists can create and to tell something about this, it will be very important for the future. And we can just make some retrospective and to see what's really happened. But for me, it's very difficult to produce any sentence, any smart, to write smart, any text about this, because it's really the strange and difficult situation. And what I can really tell now that I really think that this is a time to listen to scientists, to listen to doctors, and to see some reactions in societies. But and also we need to be careful to produce a lot of information in public space which we really don't need. And today internet sometimes could be really dangerous if we start to follow everything. And I could say that I'm now really selective about all of it.
Radenko, can you still hear us? I think the connection is getting better, worse.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So here we have another work of you, like the first man on Mars.
Yeah.
That was your answer to the refugee crisis 2 years ago.
Yes, today nobody don't want to immigrants.
Yeah. So how do you find your images? Are you constantly looking in the internet? Are you overloaded by all these images? How do you do your decision what to take, what image you choose for your own work?
But I think for me it was really important talk with Christopher, my agent from Paris, because we are really the good friends and we spend a lot of time together. And through our dialogue, we really spoke about when we met each other. I think it was 2012, and after that we have the continuously communication, and we are talking about art, about what's happened behind. And through our dialogue, I think that he gave me a lot of support, a lot of courage to be in the touch with these different kinds topic that I try to touch. And But for me, in my region, for example, it was really difficult to develop this career, or as I did, because it was really difficult for me to from the Balkan to when I started to paint, like maybe 20 years ago, uh, to understand really what's happened in the world. But for me, it was really important, these different people that I met, like from my beginning, like Leon Krempel, like Christopher Eager, like you as a gallerist. We really start to create all of this together. I think I it's not it's today is very important for each artist to understand a little bit society, a little bit meaning of the network, and try to find the people that they can follow you, that they trust you. In all of these things, I think it's my topics connection to the images. Uh, Without these people around me who want to support me and my work, I think that that is really will be difficult for me um, to be as an artist. And I think that all of this kind of the surrounding around me, it was very important to continue to make my career, the different kind of the gallery, different kind of the cities,
I think
and the kind
what is
of the collecting images, it just happened every day in my life. I'm
well, just
just
we're
every
just standing in front of a nice work on the NASA development in the 60s of the landing on the moon, and they tried to foresee how it would go, and to have the simulation program to figure out
yeah.
before the landing what could happen technically. So they produced in large studios these visuals of the moon landing, and of course it nurtured the legend that maybe there wasn't a landing on the moon, but just the fake images of it. So all the time people tried not only to memorize things from the past through images, but also to establish images from in the future, to see how it might be in the future. And also that's why I like so much these historical science fiction movie stills. That's how we imagined visits from outer space, the flying saucers. Nowadays, it looks so naive, but at the same time, I mean, technical development is so fast that it's really interesting to have a look back on their look forward, and to mix all these timelines together. You did this a lot, right? To paint film stills from old movies and take pictures not just from your time, but also from different periods that you yourself you never experienced.
But of course, that some artists, some the science fiction, the movie give us the possibility how our world will look for the future. And I was really interested in this kind of the science fiction movie, and not really this also science fiction which we already that you saw us. It was the show us. It was the one movie of the Andrei Tarkovsky, and his movie Stalker. And I think that he, as an author, maybe give us in that movie give us really the presence of the future, and give us a really unique and original perspective. How
It was really
our
great
world.
when we met once in Belgrade, and you were showing us this huge film museum that they have there, and then you told us that you were there every day as well as in the Goethe Institute, which had a very big library, and this is your influence during university, during the academy, right?
Yes, I remember when I was in the Belgrade, we had a group artist in the that we was really occupied by the movie, and we had really interested to research the movie from the 60s, 70s in the Cinematheque in the Belgrade. And they, in that time, they had a special projection for the different kind of the students, special for the student for the drama and who study the film. And we just share more time with them than to go to our faculty and to paint, because that movie in the cinema had really something special. But I think that you can read the book alone, but to watch the movie, it's better to watch the movie in the cinema with other people. And after that, we had the simple conversation, and it was really the specific moment because it was a time without computer in our life, and it was another way to understand the movie than we had today. Because today we can watch the movie on our personal computer. It's total different than you sit in the cinematheque and you watch the movie with projection on the canvas. And after that, when you had discussion with the people, it's more, I think, better to discover the movie than you watch the movie alone.
Yeah, that's
And
also this crossing of personal and collective memory. So when you see a film still of a movie that you saw in your life once, you remember two things. You remember the movie itself and maybe the situation you were in when you watched it, or your own life situation, or maybe this very moment sitting in the dark cinema and watching with other people together. So your personal life and the content that you saw on screen, like also with the famous press images that you paint so often. A lot of people remember not only the historical event but also the moment they were in when they got to know about the event. So it's always connected, right?
yes, everything is connected.
Sometimes I remember better the situation I was when watching a movie in the cinema than the movie itself. So I remember my friends, or I don't know, maybe a special love story or something, but not so much the plot of the movie.
No, but I think that everyone in the world have the special connection with the movie because it's really our connection to our childhood, because we are all now belongs to the generation that they have the TV in their home, and we are generation who grow up with the TV and all of this meaning about photography, about cinema, about everything. And I think this kind of generation who are living still now, it's a reason why we share all of this memory together. And maybe also for me, it was very important, like artists camera artists like Sven Nykvist, who did a lot of movie with Bergman, and also with Andrei Tarkovsky, some of them movie. And I really was occupied by. I learned a lot about this artist and how they play with atmosphere, how they play with the meaning of image in the movie. And also it was for me, I was really impressed how, for example, they learned a lot about all the master in the, and it's just interesting crossover between the history of the painting and the new technology which we had like during the 20th century, and all of this mix, and today with digital technology. And I think this really the more richest period in the world and our civilization, that we can play with different kind of source of the meaning of the images of the history of the
recently you even take older image techniques into your work. Like on this panel, we see a woodcut, scientific or technical motive in a woodcut, or a technical drawing of optical instruments and the functions of the eye, or a scientific, maybe medical sketch of eyesight. So you go further back in the history of image making recently.
Yes, but this kind of things, it was occupation through each civilization. This one that you show us, it was one simple explanation how we see our world from the medical atlas from the Arabic country. I think it was it's old, like 2000 years ago. It's meanings of the different kind of the perspective, how we look our world, and how we try to understand our world. Because it was for me important to keep the black and white, because it's not just only like simple decision. I was when we start to spoke about movie, I really was influenced by the black and white movie from the 40, 50, 60s. And also we can't see our world in black and white. We could see the world in the full color. And when we have the presentation in the black and white technique, it's this kind of images is more abstract than our reality. They give us something special when you turn out color.
And Leon Krempel, the director of the Kunsthalle Darmstadt, who did this exhibition with you, the big exhibition of 365, he said that you are reinventing watercolors. So he I think that was back in 2012, he said this already. And yeah, I think there are not so many artists that are using watercolors to that extent like you are doing it.
Yeah, but I'm doing different technique, and I could do different kind of the style. But I think today it's important to have your own personal language today, and we can see the endless of this perspective. What today we have of the artist, and I think it's very important to keep your own style, on your own technique, that you try to develop some things, and that you have some specific things in your practice.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to point out that from museum sides, there already you had a big success with what you did at the Venice Biennale. So the Museum Volkwang bought all the 4 panels from you, and they bought as well a large group of works by from the series 365. And then when we did this exhibition with Micro and Macrocosmos, so everything is sold out, what we had in our space at that time. So it's fantastic that yeah, your public and your collectors are so interested and still interested in your works.
Yeah, but for me it's important that I really maybe have the best success in Germany and also in the France, and but also around the world, like in the Colombia and the US. But I could say that really the best things it's which happen, what happened, it's really in the Germany. It's different kind of important group exhibition and solo exhibition. It's what happened in Germany.
Yeah. Yeah, Radenko, fantastic. Thank you so much to give us this, your time and to share your thoughts with us for today. Yeah. And keep going, keep continuing what you're doing. It's really great to work with you. And say hello to your daughter and your wife and your brother. And hope to see you soon. Hope to see you soon in Cologne again.
I hope. And what I missed is just the traveling, because now all together in the same boat.
Yeah, absolutely. I just see that your gallery from Bogota, Balz Arte, is looking here with us. So
Yeah.
hello to you too. You are doing such a great and amazing job for Radenko. Thank you so much. And yeah, we are all in the same boat, and we will all keep going. Thank you so
And
much.
I wish you also all the best. And yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.